checking in no bag, shopping when we land. Big FN bag of ballin'. Plead the fifth if I get caught, they talk. Came through dripping on them, I been saucing.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm gonna be showing you guys my TradingView essentials. So essentially all the tools, indicators, as well as all the little functions I utilize in my day-to-day trading on TradingView. And some of these features might require premium, so for those that are interested, you can also get TradingView Premium, link in the description, or you can use my link in my Discord. It gives you additional discount on top of the current ongoing discount, which I believe is like 70% off or something, and 1 free month for premium. I would highly recommend getting that package if you do decide on getting TradingView, or paying for it at least, and not just the free version, because it personally provides the most value for your money, and you can renew for several years. So that's what I've done personally back then, and that's why I still have TradingView now, premium for the next like 2 to 3 years. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So let's start off with the basics real quick. I'll be going over real quick just the indicators on my screen that I'm using. I'm using a private gaps indicator here. You can search this on the indicator community tab and you'll be able to find it. I forgot who it's made by, but just search up no gaps and you'll be able to find it. Essentially what it does is it covers areas in price where there's gaps based on the broker. So you can see right here, for example, where there's gaps usually on the chart, this will cover the gaps so you don't see those gaps, and it just cleans up your chart so the candles make more sense and are well aligned, especially for things like ES. So I made my own customization just a little bit, coded my own little thing for this, so it's a lot more efficient. But other than that, you can just use the free one in the community tab. Yeah, just look that up. Next thing is the watermark here. This is also another free thing in the community tab of indicators. I believe anyone with a TradingView account can access this. This is just providing obviously your watermark on the top of your screen as well as the bottom of your screen. And you can just customize it to your liking. I just have my website and of course the company name. Daily bias, this is an indicator that is ETU specific, right? It shows true day open, previous day open, previous day high, previous day low. And then it gives a daily bias for every single trading session, which is good to know, especially if you want to time your trades perfectly with the true day open and key factors like that. And so yeah, these other indicators are basically ETU specific, right? This is the zone indicator, right? That basically plots the zones, high time frame zones onto your low time frame chart. So I'm able to see the high time frame bias while staying on the low time frame. So you can see I'll be buying and selling. For example, I'll be buying in this zone, I'll be selling in this zone until it breaks out of this zone. Then we have a new range in price where then I'm buying it over here and selling over here. So it helps me really identify these ranges, and these ranges typically do repeat itself. So it's a very nice indicator to see those ranges when I need to see them, or I'm very lost in price, or I just want to stay on a lower time frame, which is the 1 minute, and not have to basically jump around to the lower time frame, which is very nice, or jump around to the high time frame. This is next up, kill zone session indicator. I've shown a lot of this actually in a previous video, so I'm not going to go too much in depth into it, but essentially you can set your active times. I have it set active to my current kill zones I do show. So you guys can already see that for free, right? My kill zone session timing, and it just draws out the kill zones on your chart. And also there's an alert that you can add. And what it does is you can have it alert you when your session timing or range is going to open and close, depending on what session you obviously identify and specify, which is another feature I added. Next up is the last but not least POI indicator here. This is the most important one personally. That's why it's a little bit more than other indicators, because it's a lot more advanced and requires a lot more coding to write out. But essentially, of course, this is pretty self-explanatory honestly here. This is using that 50% algorithm that I programmed here with that calculation to filter out zones, things like that. It's gonna take a while for it to load, so probably not gonna have it load for too long, but essentially what it does is it plots out your POIs for you and all you have to do is set an alert on them, either manually or you can set alert automatically through, again, the indicator settings. And it also shows secondary zones. So if I want to see like a 1 hour time frame POI while I'm on a lower time frame, it will display that. It might take a while to load here. We'll see what happens if it even loads here. Usually will take quite a bit of time just because of what it is, and also sometimes you might not see anything because it's already mitigated, but you can see 60 minutes right here. These are 1 hour zones that are being shown while you're on your current time frame, which is very, very efficient to have. So yeah, but I usually have it set at 1 minute and 5 minute as I'm a low time frame trader. So let's get straight into just basically the TradingView stuff, right? So in terms of TradingView, these are tools I use here. Actually, before I even get to the tools, let me show you guys my checklist, or my checklist, or whatever you guys call this. So I have two things mainly. I split between Forex and futures. I don't have really a thing for Bitcoin. I actually have another one that is my overall list, which I don't know where it went, but I had an overall list that included a ton of things. So let's see. Oh, here it is, Watchlist. Okay, so this, if I this, it should show up here. Maybe I just have to do this. But this is my watch list here with like everything sorted out, right? Stocks, crypto, main crypto, Forex. I personally don't like it having this format because there's too much stuff going on, right? So I prefer to have it more organized, and that is why I had it filtered to just Forex and futures. So let me just actually uninstall that real quick. So here are all my Forex pairs, obviously, right? SPY, QQ. QQ is also the same thing as NASDAQ, by the way, for those that don't know. XAUSD, gold, Euro USD, and oil. Those are the main 4 things I trade. I don't really trade QQQ. I just have it in case as a confluence at times, but most times I don't really use it. So SPY, gold, Euro USD, and oil. Futures, it's basically the exact same thing, plus I'm adding DXY, and just doing some testing on my own on the side for DXY in terms of DXY alignment and seeing if that helps. But personally, I didn't find too much help with it, so I'll probably just remove it now, honestly. But everything else is basically the same thing, but just converted to futures, and I split it with the minis on top and micros on the bottom, in case for some reason one goes down, or I don't know why, but in case something happens, right? So I have the micros and minis. And yeah, that's basically for the watch list. That's the name of it. That's what it's called, the watch list. Yeah, that's the watch list. Now let's go on to the tools. The first tool I use is rectangle tool. It should be somewhere here. Yep, rectangle. That's number 1. This is where I would draw my POIs and zones, but I don't really draw them much myself personally because I have my indicator that auto draws them. So I typically don't really actually need the tool, but it's just there just in case I want to like draw something out to my students, things like that. But yeah, next thing is the short and long tool. Pretty self-explanatory, right? You can find this in this section here, long and short position. So we have long and we have short. Here are my color settings for all of them if you're interested or curious. So here it is if you want to check it out. Stop color 25%, both at 25% basically, this blue, and text is that. What else? This doesn't really matter for me. I don't use that to calculate my trades anyway. I have something else that calculates it. And yeah. So same thing with the short and long, they have the same settings. Next up is my Gamma box tool, which you could probably find, let's see, right here. No, it should be here. Oh, it's right here. Right here, Gamma box. This basically draws discount and premium. I have a 75% target rule that do set. I go deeper in that in the course, so I'm not gonna spend too much time explaining that today. But mainly 0.5, 50% range, and splitting up in quarters. Those are the only really settings I have. This I may use to identify premium and discount of each range, but typically you don't need to really draw it necessarily, but sometimes I like to see it. And also I do actually use this for specific strategies. So that's something I'm not going to explain on this channel here. And then now I have the rate tool, which is right here. You guys can probably find these tools onto yourself. It's not too hard. Just look around, discover what you like. But rate tool here, right? It just draws like a line from one point to the next. If you hold shift on your keyboard, by the way, this is a shortcut, it'll keep the line straight. So big pro tip there. Now here are my templates. I have a lot of templates for this rate tool. So I don't really have templates for this. Actually, I do have a lot of templates for this. So I should probably go over those. But let me just go over the tools real quick, right? Rate tool, I'd use this very often. And then next I have the path tool here, which I like to draw for demonstrative purposes for my educational content within my course and mentorship. But typically I don't really need to draw this out aside from that until when it comes to trading. Unless I want to draw some type of prediction that I have on price, then this is very helpful, very efficient. I have it actually set to external, which is black, and internal is my blue colorway. Okay, there's. Next we have my brush. Nothing fancy here at all, really. I mean, no color template at all. It's just a default brush here. And I don't really use a brush as much. Again, just circle certain things I like to demonstrate to my students or critiquing their work. So I like to circle things or put X's or check marks. Other than that, don't use that too much. This is my inducement tool here. I don't have a template there. It's just all black. And you can see I'm marking clear inducement here, which I do teach within the course how to mechanically ahead of time identify certain POIs that will not hold, which is inducement. So you can see I'm drawing inducement twice over here with this tool. That's how I mark my inducement. Text, this has a lot of stuff here. I'll just go over that real quick, but last but not least is just text bubble speech, which is something I like to add comments to if I find particular things that I find interesting in price action that I can actually learn from or even journal from. I like to have this to as like text, like journal, maybe I noticed this, and this happens, or something like that. I don't know. It could be anything journal based, right? So that's the purpose of that tool there, the text speech bubble. But next up is just going back basically to what every tool is. So here, I use this tool just to identify my P&L. So usually I rarely do this, but when I do, most times I would cut my stop loss to 0.5, so half my stop loss. So sometimes before moving to break even, I will move my stop loss to 0.5, but it's very rare. Majority of times I don't really have a minus 0.5, and it'll just be a full-on stop loss hit or break even or the TP hit. Those are my typically three main outcomes with no trailing stop loss, because I'm able to identify and maximize my trades. That's always the goal of trading. But other than that, -1 obviously for full loss, and then I basically go in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colors if you're interested, right? And this one's obviously just normal red. But yeah, this goes in order all the way until 7, because typically I do have trades that go over 7 risk to reward, but it's not something that's like common, as in I'm catching every single like trade. On average my trades are around 4 risk to reward with like a 60-something% win rate. So for me, that's already really good personally in terms of expected value, my system, and able to compound my account very nicely already. I don't need anything too crazy, right? I like to maintain that higher win rate instead of having a low win rate with a 7 risk reward ratio, which is a lot harder psychologically to handle. So of course you can add this up until whatever preference you prefer, but typically keep these at numbers that you frequently basically have in terms of your P&L. A and B, this was something I was experimenting real quick. I was just collecting data on my discretionary decision-making skills of being able to rate setups before they occur or a trade outcome occurs, and basically putting it a rating before I take the trade. into my journal and seeing if my discretionary decision-making skills are correct or not. So that's what that is. You don't have to add that yourself, but I just have it there. Break even, you know, self-explanatory. And failed break of structure, this is something I go over within the course. So won't be going over that today, but it's pretty self-explanatory if you understand how to mechanically identify a break of structure and knowing when to anticipate this failed break of structure. Let's go back to the rectangle. So rectangle here, I have just my different time frame POIs. So if I'm drawing a POI on a daily time frame, I'll just have it as daily POI. But other than that, I cycle around my time frames. These are time frames I cycle around usually. I rarely use the 1 day. Majority of times it'll be 1 hour, 4 hour, 5 minute, 15, 30 minute. I don't know why this is not entirely in order. I believe, okay, it's just going based off the first number, so that makes sense. But these are the main time frames I'll be cycling through, right? And then of course the 1 minute, but 1 minute would just be, 1 minute, I just don't have any text in it. It would just be the block, right? Or rectangle. So I have the time frame set there. If I want to manually draw it, I don't need to manually draw it, but if I wanted to, I have that option there. And if you want to see the color of the zone also, it's that color. So feel free to check that out. That's the color, opacity, everything you need to know. Text is all black. This is a bought to sell. I teach this within the course, advanced course actually, to be specific. For those interested, you can check it out. I actually have it on Black Friday right now, but buy to sell right there and sell to buy right here, right? And then I have, of course, you guys know the breaker, flip, areas for value gap, OB. These are entry models, and then origin is not an entry model. Flip is also not an entry model. That's a POI type. And then lastly, seconds. I just named it seconds. Typically it will be 30 seconds, but most times most times it is just 30 seconds, but I just put seconds in case I want to interchange it with another seconds time frame, but typically 30 seconds. Sometimes what I notice from my testing is that 30-second POIs will like hold sometimes, and you might not be able to see on the 1 minute. So just to keep that in mind, when I look for 30 seconds or seconds POIs, typically when I see a very big candle on the 1 minute, that is mitigated, but based on my experience, I know it's likely to be unmitigated on the seconds, especially 30 seconds. So that's when I drop down and use the seconds to manually check. Those are my boxes, pretty basic. Let's see, what else do I need to cover? Cover text, Ray. These are my settings. This is break even. Essentially, I put this at wherever I want to break even. For example, if I break even at this internal break structure, I'll put my break even tool here to identify where I break even for journaling purposes. If you want to see my journal, also my prior journal, there's also a link as well on my website to see that. So yeah, obviously break structure. This is marking, it can be internal, external. That's why I separated them, right? Break structure up and down. If you want to see the settings, it's going to be this box you just flipped for up and down. So all black, you guys should know. You can pause the video if you're interested in really copying the specifics. But I believe this is also the same settings here. Yep, same settings. Change of character, external, high time of draw and liquidity. These are my settings for this, 20 size font. This is, I go in depth in the course as well as how to identify that as well. It's different than break structure, change of character, of course. And then we have the IBOS, which what I call is the internal break structure, right? So we have internal break structure up and down. Same text size. It might just look smaller because there's more letters or characters. Internal change of character, of course, you guys know, right? Up and down. There's also internal sweep, up and down. And there's also obviously external sweep, up and down. And I have point of control that I also identify in my course on how to identify it mechanically. A lot of people identify this way different than how I identify it. So yeah, you only understand this if you're within the course. Stop loss, this is if I want to trail my stop loss, or cut my stop loss in half. Otherwise, I don't use this. I'd rarely use this tool or option. But this is if I were to trim my stop loss because some huge move or something. But typically, again, I don't trim my stop loss due to how liquidity works in internal sweeps that occur before price delivering to your target. So usually I don't use this, but cool little way to show a stop loss for journaling purposes. SMT, I don't really teach as much within the course. You can probably Google this online if you're interested, just learn it for free. But again, I don't use this too much myself personally. And then trendline liquidity. This is pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, you guys should know what trendline liquidity is. If not, you can find YouTube videos on it. Probably, I'm not sure, but it's definitely, I do definitely talk about it within course. So trendline liquidity, right? There it is. Up and down, of course, same thing. But other than that, man, that's really about it. Nothing too much else. It does seem like a lot of options, but once you get used to it, it's so fast, and I already know which ones I don't really use often, so I might even remove them. But for now, I'll keep them because I do still will use them at some point. So that's basically it for this video. There's nothing much else to cover, I think. Let's see. We're 20 minutes. This video is going to be pretty long. So let's see, what else can I cover? You can change the color of the zones if you're interested for bearish and bullish as well to match the colorway, the indicator. You can also change the text color. Let's see. Oh, this is one thing. I can go over these settings real quick. This is probably the most important. This is my settings for my candles. This is what typically most people or some people have at. I don't really like this dark blue. I prefer lighter blue. It makes it more 3D look. So I have this cyan blue, third option, and everything else is just straight pure black. This is obviously 100% opacity, and check all these. Have your time zone. This is basically the stats above on the top left of the corner of the screen. Every time you move your cursor, it will show the information for each candle or bar. So if that's something you're interested in, you can use that. These are just what I have. I don't really use these again too much, honestly. Open market status is pretty important, but typically you should know that information. So yeah. And then this, I don't think I really mess with except for changing the time format. I believe default was 24. I changed it to 12. If we look at anything else, really, countdown bar close is important. So it'll show the time to the next countdown bar on the right side. It's not right now because I think the market 5, yeah, it's closed right now. Canvas solid, third option from the left. And then obviously this adds grids in the back. And I like to keep it clean so I don't have any. And this obviously is the watermark in the back. So those are my settings there, settings here. If you're trading directly on TradingView through a broker, you would have the buy and sell buttons. Maybe you don't have to, of course. And execution labels just shows your executions if you were logged into my broker on TradingView, which I'm not. And then you have alert lines here. Just enable these and events. So this, if I submit only future events, it will only show future events. But if I uncheck it, it will show past news releases. So here we have news here, FOMC minutes. I like to keep that only future, but actually why not just, you can check it whatever you want really here. But that's about it. To the TradingView video setup. I went over the indicators, what they do, went over my colorways and all the tools that I use on my chart. At first, it might seem daunting and seem like a lot, but really once you get used to it, it's not as complex or sophisticated as you think. So I believe that is it for this video. I'm trying to see if I can remember missing anything else. Not much else, right? Oh, you can also create new layouts if you're interested and have templates for indicators to group them together. But me personally, I just stick to one layout now. I don't really use my other ones as much. I prefer to just stick with one layout and have everything on one chart instead of having different strategies, for example, on separate layouts. I just have it on one chart now. It just got annoying at one point switching back and forth, so I just kept everything on one chart. And of course, make sure to have your autosave on. That's very important. And yeah, that's basically about it for this video. Again, if you're interested in also downloading, copying, copy image or copy link to share your charts, here are the shortcuts on Windows at least. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. Hope you guys did enjoy and take something away from this. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys hopefully within at least the free Discord, if not the advanced E2 course or mentorship, where you can ask me questions and learn my strategy.